Hey, welcome back to another edition of the Friday Five. It is Friday on Memorial Day weekend, so getting ready to knock out this video and then head home to hang out with the fam for a holiday weekend. Hopefully the weather is nice. It's been raining entirely too much in eastern Pennsylvania, and a couple sunny days would probably be good for everyone. All right, let's jump in. Number one, starting where we always start, mortgage rates, national averages from Mortgage News Daily. VA 30-year fixed, 6.54%. FHA 30-year fixed, 6.53%. Conventional 30-year fixed, 7.02%. Over the Mendoza line at 7%. And actually a slight improvement from yesterday. We were 7.08%. And then conventional 15-year fixed, 6.3%. And finally, that 7-year ARM, 6.31%. So rates are definitely up a little bit. Without a whole lot of economic data to support that, it's really just kind of the uneasiness around the bond market related to tariffs, and then also the downgrade of U.S. Treasuries did not help as well. Did see a little bit of improvement yesterday and today, but we certainly have not gained back what we lost. All right, number two. Do you know the true definition of a first-time home buyer? So you may think, well, gee, Spencer, if you haven't owned a home, you're a first-time home buyer. False. Actually, the definition of a first-time home buyer for mortgage standards is someone who hasn't owned real estate in the past 3 years. So if you have owned a home in the past, but you haven't owned a home in the past 3 years, then you are considered a first-time home buyer, and you may qualify for some of those special first-time home buyer programs, grants, etc. Most of those have some type of income limit, but you are considered a first-time home buyer if you haven't owned in 3 years. Number three. Oftentimes, customers will see an interest rate on their loan disclosures and then an APR. The APR is an annual percentage rate. Typically, that number is higher than the actual interest rate on the loan, and people ask why, for good reason. So the APR is a broader measure of the cost of borrowing the money than just the interest rate. So the APR reflects the interest that you pay on the loan, points paid at closing, any lender fees that you pay at closing, mortgage insurance costs over the life of the loan, and then, some other random other charges that you may pay at closing as well. So to calculate the APR, you take all of those costs, add them together, and then calculate that over the full amortization period of the loan. That's the APR. The interest rate is typically lower because that's just what your cost is for the money. It doesn't include those closing costs. So that's the difference between APR and interest rate. Number four, there is more talk in the media about Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac being released from conservatorship. Bill Pulte mentioned it recently, and then President Trump said again that he's giving serious consideration into releasing them from conservatorship. Sounds like the voices in the room who are advising President Trump are Bill Pulte, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick, and then I'm sure there's other people behind the scenes, but those are kind of some of the major voices. Both of the stocks of both companies are up, rallied quite a bit based on that news. So if you own Fannie and Freddie stock, like I do, you're pretty excited about it, and then it makes you think, man, maybe I should cash in, because if they don't go into conservatorship, stocks will go back down. Anyway, Fannie's net worth reached around $98 billion in Q1 of 2025. Freddie's $62 billion. So the companies are very valuable. They're also making a lot of money. So it would be certainly beneficial for investors if they did go back into conservatorship. Downside, though, if that happens, most predict that if you take away the government guarantee on those conventional loans, that would lead to an increase in mortgage rates for Fannie Freddie products. I've seen as much as 75 basis points, and we really don't need higher rates when rates have already increased again, and housing affordability is already at like decade lows. So we don't need higher rates. Number 5, in the spirit of Memorial Day, this week's quote of the week comes from former President Barack Obama. He said, "Our nation owes a debt to its fallen heroes that we can never fully repay, but we can honor their sacrifice." So on this holiday weekend, enjoy the time with your family and friends, but please also remember those who fought, gave the ultimate sacrifice for our country, for our freedoms here. And if in your travels at a party, if you're come in contact with a service member who fought to defend this country, please make sure you thank them for their service to our country. I was not a tough high schooler, and I would have never made it in the military. I think I would be much more suited for it now than I was as an 18-year-old. So I truly appreciate those that have served in our U.S. Armed Forces, and I hope you share that same sentiment. So thanks for watching. I hope you have a great weekend. Enjoy it with your family. If I can help you in any way, you know where to find me.